You need to sell your home, but you know your home needs work. How do you negotiate this sale? Hey, my name's Brennen Clouse. I'm your favorite Seattle area realtor. Today, I'm going to talk about how to negotiate your sale as a seller when you know that your home needs work. Let's get into it. This happens a lot. You maybe have neglected your house over the past few years, or maybe the projects just didn't seem worth it to you to complete while you lived there. But homes are sold every single day on the market that need work and need repairs. I'm talking from major repairs like the foundation all the way to minor repairs like little painting here and there, touch-up painting. This is something that a lot of sellers I see struggle with because how do you negotiate your sale when you know that your home needs work? Today, I'm going to talk you through exactly my thinking for how to negotiate this type of sale. So as a seller, you want to come from a position of power. You want to know exactly what things are going to cost that are broken and how much it's going to take to fix them. That's why every single time that I walk through a home with a potential seller, we are talking about what's worth fixing and what's not worth fixing. And we're getting quotes for every single item. Now, this is the key to selling your home and coming to the negotiation from a place of power. You need to know exactly what everything is going to cost. And ideally, you need to have more than one quote on how much that will cost. Let's say, for example, that you know that your foundation has settled. On one side of your house, it's a ½ inch lower than the other side of your house because you live on a hill. This is a really good use case, especially in a place like Seattle, because a lot of homes do settle, even brand new homes settle. When you go to list that home, if you do not understand exactly how much it would take to fix that settling or at least prevent it from happening even more, then you are already in a position of less power compared to the buyer. And the reason for that is the buyer can come in and say, I want $50,000 for this, not knowing how much it's actually going to take. It just becomes a big issue in their mind. So as the seller, what you need to do is you need to get 1 to 3 quotes from a foundation specialist about what would stop the foundation from settling anymore or even fix the problem. And you come to the sale with this information because now you have 3 different quotes. They're probably one low, one in the middle, and one high. And you know on average what it's going to cost to actually fix this problem. You don't necessarily take that amount off the purchase price, but you do come to the negotiation with this amount of money in mind. You know and you have proof through a quote of how much this is going to cost. This ultimately puts you in a position of power because now the buyer can no longer try to negotiate an even higher discount than what you already know it's going to cost to fix. It doesn't mean that you have to fix it before the sale. Ideally, if you could, yes, go ahead and fix it. But it doesn't mean you have to have it fixed. It just means that you have to come to that negotiation with that information in mind so that you know what it will cost to fix the problem that's happening. This is the same across the board. If there is something wrong with the home, whether that's electrical, plumbing, systems, appliances, if you are not going to choose to pay the money to repair that before your home goes on the market, which is the ideal first choice, you need to come to the sale understanding what those items are going to cost to fix. And beyond that, you need to understand what all of those items are. You need to have an inspection on the home and have an inspector verify what does need to be fixed, what is okay as it is, and what will last you 30 more years in the home. All of those items need to be known going into the sale so that you are negotiating from a place of power. Now, if you do have an issue like that, if you have a big fix that needs to be done, you need to be aware that as soon as the buyer understands that there's an issue with the home, as they're walking through it, they are going to start to nitpick every single other issue in the property. So if you've ignored some of the smaller maintenance items and you have a large maintenance item that needs to be fixed, like a foundation repair, then you need to go ahead and fix some of those smaller items because each of those items is going to add up in the buyer's mind as they walk through the home, ultimately disqualifying your home from the sale because now they think the home has a ton of issues with it. So let's take an example. Back to the foundation. If you've already gotten a quote, let's say the average price between your 3 quotes is $40,000 to fix the foundation that may be settling. And as a buyer, they walk through the home and they see a few different things that are not taken care of. They see the trim around the floor is beat up and needs to be replaced. They see outdated light fixtures on all of the ceilings. They see a kitchen floor that has not been touched and really needs to be replaced. These are all smaller items that can be fixed and should be fixed, honestly, before you go to the market if you have that bigger foundation item still lurking in the background. The reason for this is because when they see those baseboards, when they see the painting that's not done, when they see the damaged floor, those are all going to add up in addition to that foundation issue. And the buyer is ultimately going to want to walk away because the home is too much work for them. Whereas if you've actually done some of the work, if you've made it look presentable, you've made it feel like everything else is taken care of, and you've also got the data on how much the big fix is going to cost, you are now coming to the negotiation where the buyer actually wants to negotiate with you. They want to get into the home, and they also don't feel like the home has a laundry list of problems with it. They feel like there's one problem, the foundation, that they can fix, but you as a seller, you already know how much that's going to cost. So you're coming to that negotiation from a place of power, understanding the price. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, couldn't I have negotiated lower than what it was actually going to cost to fix that foundation? Yes, there's a possibility that you might have been able to do that. You might have been able to say, oh, that foundation is actually only going to cost 20 instead of 40,000. Or you might have been able to split that cost with the buyer, perhaps. But it's much more likely that instead of negotiating lower, you're actually going to get taken advantage of by that buyer because they're going to say a much larger number than what they actually think it's going to cost. Because the buyer is going to have to deal with it. They want money to be able to take that issue, fix it, but they also want money for their time. And that's part of the real estate negotiation. If they're taking on the issue and taking on the time to do that, they're going to want more money. So if you come into that negotiation knowing, here's how much it's actually going to cost, and here's someone who can do it for you, you are at an upper hand in that negotiation because you're not going to get gouged for even more money from that buyer. So as a seller, if you've ignored some things, if you have time and money to put into small things to make the home even better, do it, especially if you have a bigger issue. And if you have that bigger issue that needs more work, make sure you get those quotes so you know exactly what that's going to take. Even if you don't have to share that with the buyer, you know in your mind what amount of money that's going to take you or the future buyer to fix that issue. This is ultimately going to leave you at a much better place in your negotiation. If you're a seller and you're thinking about selling this fall and you found this helpful, please make sure to like this video and subscribe. Or if you know someone who's thinking about selling, send this video to them so they know exactly what to do if they do have an issue on their hands, because we all know homes aren't perfect. And if you like content like this about how to get your home sold, especially in a competitive situation, make sure to follow me for more real estate tips like this. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you again next time.